We're back in action once again for the F4 Spanish Championship 2024, and we're on the roller coaster. We're in Portugal on the Circuito de Algarve in Portimao. What a fantastic trio of races we are set to have over the course of this magnificent weekend, the second weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship, with a battle already raging in the category as we have the competitors already bearing down after a very exciting season opener on another ex-Formula One venue at Jarama in Spain. Now here in Portugal, we've got another exciting challenge ahead of us. The drivers gearing themselves up for a brilliant battle out on the course with many tough challenges in front of us. There is the Red Bull youngster Enzo Tyrmanichkul of Thailand, who has been very impressive over the course of the first couple of races of his F4 journey. But he wants a little bit more than he was able to achieve at Jarama in Spain. So there's every bit of an opportunity that he will want to put some decent results on the board. Hola everybody, Jake Sampson here once again with all of the action from the three races this weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship. Fellow Red Bull youngster James Igotzi getting himself ready to go, the young man from Miami in Florida, hoping that he is going to continue his upward trajectory to the world of Grand Prix racing. Speaking of drivers hoping to do that, there is a grand total of 36 of them on the grid here this weekend in Spanish F4, one of the busiest championships in F4 Spanish history. The British driver there, Nathan Tighe for Campos Racing, gearing himself up ready as we wait for the pit lane to open and the drivers to be sent on their way to go and form up on the starting grid. The Portimao circuit definitely going to give these guys plenty of uphill and down-dale challenges around this phenomenal race circuit, scene of where Lewis Hamilton clinched his centenary race victory, his 100th Formula One World Championship race victory, and what a phenomenal battle it is. And speaking of milestones, today is quite an important day in the history of F4 racing, because it was back on June the 6th, 2014 that we had the first ever race. June the 8th, I should say, 2014, that we had the first ever F4 race in a Tartus, which was the Italian F4 Championship, a decade ago to the day. And now here we are 10 years later, still with the Tartus chassis and still with F4 racing in full swing here in the Spanish Championship. So it's very fitting that 10 years to the day after the first ever F4 race of its modern era kind, that we continue on that magnificent journey through in fine style as the signal goes at the end of the Portimao pit lane, and the drivers will head out onto the circuit only to form up again on the starting grid. Time qualifying definitely provided some very interesting answers going into the battles that we have in front of us. A little bit of a clumsy moment for a couple of the cars going out onto the circuit as everybody got very keen there to venture out onto the starting grid. Great to have your company if you're watching along on the YouTube live stream. If you're tuned in with us wherever you are in the world, it's great to have your company, and we will do our best to continue making the satisfaction of these brilliant race battles to your liking. It's going to be really exciting to see how everybody gets on with it. Hello everybody, Jake Sampson here in the commentary box, gearing up ready for another exciting battle out on the course. And the first big talking point coming into this weekend is Chiano Alazzari, the man who was fighting for all three of the race victories last time out at Jarama in Spain, has managed to pop up with the goods in pole position for this one, and it definitely gives us plenty to talk about because his close rival in the first round of the championship, young Lucas Flusha-Cross, is not even going to be starting the first race of the weekend in the top 10. So the rookie driver is definitely going to be fighting his way back into prominence. It's all good news for the MP Motorsport Squad's young man from the United Arab Emirates who lives on the Palm Jumeirah in the beautiful city of Dubai. Chiano Alazzari had a very consistent and solid weekend in the season opener. Now he has a real chance to not just take the lead, but pull away a little bit if everything goes according to plan in the first three races of his second weekend in the championship. Ernesto Rivera is going to be lining up alongside him on the grid though in the Griffin Corps. That'll be fascinating to see what he can make of his best qualifying performance of the season so far. Great to see a few other contenders up the sharp end for once. Mattia Colnaghi getting a brilliant run in third position, the Italian driver, alongside the Dutchman René Lammers, the son of the ex-Formula One racer and Le Mans 24 Hours winner, Jan Lammers. He is going to be there in the MP Motorsport team car, carrying Racing Team Nederland colours. on his car. Thomas Strauven, who had such a fantastic run of form in the first weekend of the championship at Jarama, he'll be lining up 5th on the grid, with James Zigotzi, the man we saw earlier on in the Red Bull colour scheme for the Campos Racing team, lining up in P6 of the grid. Jan Paszrowski, the former European karting champion in the junior category of OK, lines up 7th on the grid for Griffincorp, alongside Griffin Peebles, the man who won the Formula Winter Series title a little bit earlier on this year. And then we have Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian driver for Griffincorp, lining up alongside the two-time winner of the Trofeo Ayrton Senna in the world of Brazilian karting, Gabriel Gomez, who has been one of the prolific racing drivers in the senior and gearbox karting scene now for the last couple of seasons, but here he is in F4 Spain. Nathan Ty and Lucas Flusha renew their battles from their junior days, continuing on in the world of F4, racing for Campos and the KCL by MP Motorsport squads, respectfully. Then it is Michael Pedersen alongside Douwe de Decker. Great to see the youngster for the race team at GRS USA in the colour scheme, which has been made synonymous by BWT, the pink machine. There is Douwe de Decker, just working his way through the pit lane on his reconnaissance laps. He'll line up 14th on the grid, much stronger starting grid position than we saw from him in Jarama, where he had all sorts of mechanical maladies. Juan Cota, now supported by the Spanish Racing Federation, lining up 15th on the grid for the Drivex team, alongside the boxing cycling ninja warrior in training, Maciej Gladish, the former FIA Karting Academy trophy winner in the world of karting, and that was a title that was won by none less a personage than Charles Leclerc back in his youth. So clearly Maciej Gladish working his way up from similar stock of talent. Matteo Quintarelli and Yvan David, the two men for Santaloc, who are both raised at the present moment in Dubai. There is Matteo Quintarelli. He's going to be lining up 17th on the grid alongside his rookie Sri Lankan teammate, Yvan David. Then Gustav Wisniewski for Technicar alongside Francisco Macedo, 20th on the starting grid for him. Then Preston Lambert alongside Enzo Tarnvenichkal. That's Rodin Motorsport versus Campos Racing on the 11th row of the grid. Tim Gerhards alongside the Colombian Maxi Restrepo. And then Peter Buzinellos lining up on the next row of the starting grid with Lenny Ritz. Could be fascinating to see what he is able to come up with. Adam Hideg, the Hungarian, alongside the Italian Filippo Fiorentino on 14th row of the grid, and then Christian Cantu and Victor Dobrzansky, who runs on the outside of the top 30. Then Matos Reiber, along with Alexander Jacobi. Then we have the Monlau Motorsport competition driver, who's definitely been continuing his steady progress, having gone from the world of simulator racing to step into real cars. Rehan Hakim lining up alongside Eloy Gonzalez. And then right towards the tail end of the grid, we have Leah Block, the 17-year-old who is following very much in her father's footsteps, the late, great Ken Block, moving into the world of the GRS Team USA squad. And she shares that row of the grid alongside Lorenzo Castillo, the Mexican driver for the Technicar squad. 36 very talented racers, all pushing to put on a great display in race one of the weekend here in Portimao. There's one race today, 2 races tomorrow, for a very busy weekend at the office in Spanish F4. So the drivers just finishing off their reconnaissance laps. They can explore the circuit 2 laps once the pit lane opens, and then obviously they will starting grid positions. It's a very different starting order for race 1 this weekend compared to what it was last time. It wouldn't be the F4 Spanish Championship without my dear friend and colleague Enzo Oliveira down there in pit lane. It's great to have his company once again. Enzo, how's it looking down on pit road?
Yeah, it's perfect. Happy to see you, Jake. It's amazing day. Today we have the round number 2 here in the circuit of Portimao. Be careful because the teams are preparing, as Danny can show us, the wet tires, because the probability of rain could be up of 25%. So we need to see, and they need to care, the situation about the probability of rain today, because we start with very sunny day, but after the weather changed too much. So look this image, because we can speak now with a legend, a big legend of Formula 1. He's Juan Pablo Montoya. You remember, Jake, Juan Pablo Montoya, the Colombian driver. He's the coach of Maxi Restrepo. He now is receiving every advices from Juan Pablo Montoya, the legend of Formula 1, of motorsport. So tell me, what means for you be here on your place, no?
No, it's nice. It's good to be here. You know, I'm working with Maxi. Been doing it for a bit over a year, and it's been fun. You know, he's been learning a lot. He started from zero, no really karting experience or anything. So it's been an interesting challenge, but you know, each time we keep getting better, so it's good, and it's amazing. The grid here is really close. That makes it a lot of fun. I think there's a really high level here, so it's pretty cool.
So tell me and explain me what kind of challenge will be for the Saint-Eloque team and also for Maxi Restrepo to be here in Portimao?
The big challenge is, you know, to pass in Portimao is very difficult. You know, I've raced here a few times with the P2 car, and it's always tough, so we'll see. Hopefully a good race, keep learning, and it's just, you know, every race is a step.
Juan Pablo Montoya, this week in Formula One, remember that is the Grand Prix of Canada. He won a pole position and very important victory in Canada. So we have many connections here, Jake, with this legend, absolutely legend of motorsport from Colombia, now coach of Maxi Restrepo from Saint-Eloque. So Al Azhari, the Emirati driver, will be in the pole position. It's his first time in pole position, so will be other challenge for him to be and to keep the first place in this second round here in Portimao, Jake.
Yeah, really exciting stuff, and great to hear from a former two-time Indy 500 winner and Monaco Grand Prix victor as well. A fabulous personality, Juan Pablo Montoya. In fact, if you ask him, he always tells everybody that he's actually completed the Triple Crown, because although he didn't win the Le Mans 24 Hours outright, he certainly won his class. So as far as he's concerned, he is only the second driver in history to win the Triple Crown after Graham Hill, who did the job back in the 1970s by finishing off his fantastic run, having won the Indy 500 in 1967, having won the Monaco Grand Prix 5 times through the 1960s, and then finally getting his Le Mans 24-hour success in 1972. So there's not many people in the world of motor racing that are going to give a better showcase of versatility, diversity, and incredible range as a racing driver than Juan Pablo Montoya. So Maxi Restrepo, the Colombian, who Juan Pablo Montoya made very clear of the fact, you know, had barely done any karting of any sort or description before getting into a racing car. That's very tough to do. So really exciting to see what he can do, and he's just going to make massive progress through the course of the year. Happened to see him in very good performance during his Middle Eastern campaign in the beginning of the year, so it'll be fascinating to see how he continues to develop. But as you mentioned earlier there, my dear friend Enzo, it is going to be a big opportunity for the young man from Dubai on the front of the starting grid, Keanu Al-Azhari, with a magic opportunity now to continue banging in big points. Thomas Strauven 5th on the starting grid, Lucas Flusha 12th on the grid, the two men that were really taking points off him in the season opener. So with Keanu Al-Azhari in pole position and Ernesto Rivera lining up second, it is definitely going to be a much better chance for the young man who lives on the Palm Jumeirah in the beautiful city of Dubai, running up at the sharp end of the field, and hopefully, from his point of view, starting to extend that lead even further as he comes into this weekend to try and take the lead of the championship and then stretch out. So the drivers are going around for their formation lap. One car not getting away immediately, but fortunately managing to get moving before the field have gone through, and that's critical, because as long as you manage to get the car moving before the last cars have gone through, you can take your original starting position on the grid again. So a bit of a false alarm there for one of the contenders in the field, but it looks to me as though we're A-OK. And that's a very relevant point that was brought up there by Enzo on the grid. It's going to be tricky for all of these competitors, because with a 25% chance of rain for the start, that means that we could get a very interesting middle-of-the-road pit stop. And obviously pit stops in F4 are not mandatory. They take quite a long time to change the tyres on these. But if it rains in Portimao halfway through the race, there could be a bit of a gamble for a couple of the drivers who decide, you know what, yes, it's going to take about 30 seconds to change all these tyres, but it might actually work out in our favour to do so. So it'll be really exciting to see how it continues. But let's see how these 36 racers will get underway under starters' orders here at Portimao in the Algarve in Portugal, one of the most fantastic venues in the world. If you ever get the chance to go and stay in that magnificent hotel just up the hill here in Portimao, it is an absolutely exquisite venue with so many magnificent racing driver quotes all over the world, including my favourite motto from the world of motor racing, which I try to live my life by, and I'm sure pretty much any racing driver worth their salt tries to do likewise, which were the words of the great legend, the maestro, Juan Manuel Fangio. Always strive to be the best, but never believe that you are. Wise words from a 5-time Formula One legendary world champion. Chiara Malazzari and Ernesto Rivera front row of the grid. Mattia Colnaghi and René Lammers on the second row. Thomas Strauban and James Igozzi on the third. Jan Piotrowski and Griffin Peebles on the fourth. Then Andres Cardenas and Gabriel Gomez on the top 10 roundup of round 5. Nathan Ty and Lucas Flusha. Mikael Pedersen and Due de Decker. Juan Cota and Maciej Gladish. Matteo Quizzarelli and Jovan David. Gustav Wisniewski and Francisco Macedo. Preston Lambert and Enzo Tarvanitschkel. Tim Gerhardt and Maxi Restrepo. Peter Buzanelos and Lenny Ritz from Adam Hideg and Filippo Fiorentino, Christian Cantu and Victor Dobrzansky, Matis Reiber, Alexander Jacobi, Rahan Hakim, then Eloy Gonzalez, Leo Bloch and Lorenzo Castillo. So all 36 drivers together back onto the starting grid. The number 14, Chiara Malazzari for M Sport. They race in orange as ever, and it's going to be really exciting to see how it all plays out. So many fans tuning in for this man, Ernesto Rivera, the god of American karting over the last 4 or 5 seasons. He has pretty much won everything there is to win at that level overseas. Mattia Colnaghi looking good from 3rd position on the starting grid for the KCL MP Motorsport squad as the last couple of cars come into position at the back of the field. That's going to be Leo Bloch and Lorenzo Castillo taking up their residence on the final row. The green flag flies at the back of the grid and the drivers are getting ready for an exciting charge to the first corner. When the lights go out, we'll be racing at Portimao. Let's do it! A perfect start by the look of it from Chiara Malazzari as they charge their way forward. Looks like a good start too from Mattia Colnaghi, already drawing level with Ernesto Rivera, but Rivera's got a good run to the inside line, so should hold 2nd place as they dive in for the first corner. No major concerns for everybody as they work their way through. Couple of lockups, but there should be enough space for all 36 drivers to get through without too much drama. Couple of lockups on the way through as the overcast circuit casts a shadow on the drivers as they work their way through, up to the top of the crest, through the left-hander. Everybody keeping themselves to themselves for the moment, but Alazzari has the advantage from Rivera and Colnaghi, and it looks as though René Lammers for the moment is keeping it nice and tidy in front of Igozzi and Strauban. Igozzi trying to go right round the outside to move up into 5th position. If he can keep that going, he's got a really good chance then of attacking the 4th place man. So far, so good for Alazzari. Rivera going well. Colnaghi in 2nd place, side by side. Igozzi makes his bid to go in there on Thomas Strauban, and he's got the job done. Brilliant work from the young man from Miami. So the Red Bull driver gets in on Thomas Strauban and moves ahead of the Rodin Motorsport car. So that puts the Red Bull youngster up into 4th position now. 5th position. As round the outside, Strauban trying to get him back again on one of the toughest corners on the circuit to do so, and has been able to keep his position for the time being, James Igozzi. Strauban putting him under big pressure though as they go up the hill. Piotrowski going well. Nathan Ty's had an absolute firecracker of a start. Up into 8th position, the British driver, in front of Andres Cardenas and Griffin Peebles, the American. Griffin Peebles doing a fantastic job, and don't forget the man who won the Formula Winter Series title earlier this year, battling away. Some good starts all the way through the field, actually. Lucas Flusha has made progress to 11th place already. Jovan David has shot up from 18th on the grid to P15. Not a great start for the Formula Winter Series rookie champion, Maciej Gladish, trying to work his way back into prominence. But it's Alazzari, Rivera, Colnaghi, Lammers, Igozzi, Strauban, Piotrowski, Ty, Peebles, Flusha, Cardenas and Gomez. The field worked their way through the first couple of corners. Everybody trying to keep out of harm's way through the first couple of corners of the lap. There's so many opportunities for an overtake here as diving up the inside. That's a good lunge from Flusha, and onto the grass goes Piotrowski, trying to keep him at bay. A couple of drivers running deep. Let's have a look at the start again. There's a good opportunity from Alazzari, well executed. Rivera got a little bit of a sluggish one, but had the line initially to hold on from Colnaghi. No major problems. Are there any fisticuffs in the middle of the field? So far, so good, I think. A couple of puffs of smoke of the lockup of the brakes, but ultimately everybody able to come through. The real driver who's lost out in the first couple of laps is Tim Gerhardt for the Mondial Motorsport team. He's dropped all the way to the tail end of the field now, but there are quite a few drivers who are on the move. Rahan Hakim has actually made up a few places off the start as well, not just focusing on the drivers up at the sharp end. Oh, and that's a stationary car in the middle of the course there. So a bit difficult to tell from that distance to see who it might be, but I have a feeling that that could be Peter Buzanelos. We'll double check it as the drivers come through, but certainly a couple of difficulties there for the competitors. It's not Buzanelos, so it might actually be one of the drivers for the KCLMP squad. It is essentially looking to see who hasn't come through. It is Gonzalez. So Eloy Gonzalez has not come through. Interestingly, Tim Gerhardt has not made it through the end of Sector 1, and that is a car spun around and facing the wrong way. So that could be either Gonzalez or Gerhardt. We are under safety car, so a chance to remove both cars then from their positions. A very generic looking BMW safety car on the course. Now let's try and make out, oh, they're actually around very similar corners to each other. They've stopped out in very similar places, as Gomez has elected to come into the pits, as has Juan Cota. Now, are there spots of rain? Is that the reason why they've pitted? There is Eloy Gonzalez's car, stationary out on the course. So Gonzalez, unfortunately, facing the wrong way and looking to have essentially retired from the race. I don't know whether the pit stops for Gomez and Cota are due to damage, or whether they're actually going to take a bit of a gamble on the weather here. Because obviously if you take a bit of a gamble on the weather, you may as well do it under safety car, because it's looking pretty likely that that rain system could actually break at any point over the course of the circuit. So let's go through the order as it currently stands, as we look at a rather forlorn Eloy Gonzalez to the side of the circuit. Very unfortunate that he is out of this one. So we have Tim Gerhardt out of the race for Monlau, and we also have Eloy Gonzalez out of the race for DXR. Very disappointing indeed for both men, but hopefully there is going to be a little bit more to come from these competitors. So let's talk our way then through the order as it stands. Chiara Malazari for the UAE, still leading the race after a great start. Ernesto Rivera in second place in front of Mattia Kolnagi and René Lammers. Then James Zigotzi in front of Thomas Strauven. Jan Piotrowski, the Polish driver, in front of Lucas Flusha of Spain. And then Griffin Peebles ahead of Nathan Ty in the top 10. Andres Cardenas has moved in front of Yvan David, who has come through from 18th on the grid to P12. So if he could just nail qualifying, David is very much one of the sharp eggs on this particular grid, and will definitely make a good omelette if you give him time to. Matteo Quintarelli 13th. Maciej Gladys going well in 14th position, making up some progress after the difficulties in qualifying. Due de Decker 15th in front of Mikkel Pedersen. And then we have Gustav Wisniewski, Peter Buzanelos, Francisco Macedo and Enzo Tarnvedichkul. Then Adam Hideg in front of Filippo Fiorentino and Preston Lambert. And then we have Matas Reiber in front of Maxi Restrepo. Viktor Dobrzansky is in front of Alexander Jacobi. And then Rahan Hakim, Christian Cantu, Lorenzo Castillo, and then Leah Block in front of Leonie Reeds. And then we've had pit stops for both Juan Cota and Gabriel Gomez, as walking away from his scene, the scene of his car, is Eloy Gonzalez. And Tim Gerhardt is also doing the same thing as he retires from the race. Now, this is the half-hour plus 1 lap race, which means there are a few more championship points on offer for the victory in this one. 25 points available for the win, with the scoring system in the top 10 identical to the current format of Formula One racing. The only difference really between the 30-minute races and the 25-minute races is that you don't get a 25 points score for the victory for the 25-minute race victory. You score 18 for the win in the 25-minute race, 15 for second, 12 for third, 10 for fourth, and so on, all the way down to 1 point for 9th place. And then both races have a fastest lap point, as well as 2 points on the board for pole position. So that actually means that Chiara Malazari is now tied with Thomas Strauven in the Drivers' Championship, as both men find themselves 17 points back from Lucas Flusha. But it's looking really good for Chiara Malazari in the lead of the race to come through to take the lead of the championship, because he's looking at 25 points, and Lucas Flusha is, oh no, he's up to 8th position, of course, Lucas Flusha, so he looks like he is going to put at least 4 points on the board, and that means that Chiara Malazari would take the lead of the championship by just 4 points at the end of this one, unless, of course, Lucas Flusha can get the fastest lap on the board. Now, let's see what happened on lap 2. Got a little bit close for comfort. Are we going to see the incident that caused the safety car? Now look, there's crabbing for Tim Gerhardt's car right there. You could see it. The back end of the car was listing to one side as he went through the right-hander. The car wanted to carry on turning right because the suspension damage was already done. So that was the reason, obviously, for the retirement for Gonzalez and Gerhardt. I'm told, actually, that Gabriel Gomez has not returned to the circuit after his pit stop, so that is bitterly disappointing. The fans in the stands here. A very exciting and busy race weekend for the competitors this weekend here at Portimao. We don't just have the racing from F4 Spanish Championship this weekend, we also have the sister championship, the counterpart, the Euro Cup 3 championship taking part this weekend, and that race is coming up straight after this one, of course. So do stick around for that. You'll get plenty more single-seater race action this weekend. So now we're going to go round behind the safety car one more time because it was a little bit longer to clear Eloy Gonzalez's car than originally first expected. So the cars come back around and up and over the top of the crest. This circuit has always had, for me, a bit of a Kyalami vibe about it. The sort of elder statesman fans of the sport will harken back to the South African Grand Prix venue that ran so many Formula One events between the 60s, 70s and 80s. And this circuit really does have a very sort of similar feel to it. The fans in the stands getting frustrated. Grey skies, but no rain at the moment. And it's basically just a bit of a guessing game at the moment as to whether we're going to get any rain before the end of this race. But we've got 20 minutes plus the additional lap. So that's a long time to hope that the rain stays away for the entirety of. So it's going to be very tricky for all of the competitors out there. I am reliably informed and corrected by Stanislao that the safety car this weekend is actually a CLA Mercedes, not a BMW, and there's the proof of it. I wasn't really paying too much attention to the brand of race car that is being used for the safety car, and having driven a CLA Mercedes, I can tell you that a BMW could well have been a more preferable choice. That's just my personal opinion. The competitors now getting themselves back up to speed again. They want to make sure they warm the tyres and brakes up to temperature. When those lights go off on the top of the safety car, of course, they will head their way back out once again into race trim. So Gonzalez, Gerhards, both out of the race. Gabriel Gomez has parked it in the pits as well. So 3 retirements of the 36 starters. We now have just 33 remaining. And Juan Cota has rejoined at the back of the grid there. So an opportunity for him really to work his way forward. I gather he came into the pits to repair some damage, but having gone out onto the circuit again and dropped to the back of the grid, then that's fair enough. So now we're just waiting to see if the lights are going to go out on the safety car on this occasion. There is Tim Gerhardt's car that's finally been cleared from the Monlau Motorsport drivers race ending, and unfortunately there. So let's see. Yes, the lights have indeed gone out on the safety car. So it's time for Chiano Alazzari to charge his way forward ahead of Ernesto Rivera and Mattia Colnaghi on the restart. In fact, there is the moment that Chiano Alazzari dropped the hammer. It's all down to him. He's allowed to go whenever he chooses to, and he picked his moment fairly well there on the restart. So Chiano Alazzari is going to come out over the top of the crest when they go down the drop through the final turn, and he will lead the way as the Spanish F4 Brigade continue their fantastic journey. 18.5 minutes on the clock, plus the additional lap, and it's green, 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 green here at Portimao as the Spanish F4 Championship resumes racing once more. Rivera, second, Colnaghi third, side by side for fourth position. Lammers versus Agozzi. Agozzi trying to go round the outside of the Dutchman. Not going to happen though. René Lammers keeping it nice and tidy, and Douwe de Decker going wheel to wheel there with Matej Gladish as they went into turn one. Good battles all the way down this field as well. Lots of close quarters racing. I think we just saw a little bit of a contretemps there between two of the drivers in the middle of that gaggle. So that looked to me like a little bit of a battle brewing between Jacobi and Rahan Hakim. But still, the drivers in very fine stead indeed. There is Matej Gladish, the number 7 of the KCL MP Motorsport team. So many accolades in his young career. Multiple Polish karting champion, former WSK Open champion, Champions of the Future Winter champion, FIA Karting Academy trophy champion. Amazing performances through his young racing career, and now hoping to continue those trends in the world of single-seaters. But look at this restart. It's been a good one for Alazzari, but it's not been bad for Ernesto Rivera. He is hanging 10 with Chiano Alazzari at the moment, keeping the MP driver very much in his sights, and this is all going to come down to tyre management now. Having been sat behind the safety car for 4 laps, they now essentially have a little bit of an opportunity here to continue working hard, but they don't want to push the tyres too hard too soon, because if you get a little bit more out of them than you expect in the middle of the race, they're going to fall away faster in the closing stages. Watch Mattia Colnaghi. Colnaghi's got a really good run off this final turn, and he's going to have the slipstream on Ernesto Rivera down to the first corner, and the Griffin Court driver's got to be very careful how he plays this. He's going to compress Mattia Colnaghi as far to the pit wall as he possibly can. Is there going to be enough space for Colnaghi to commit to the inside line? No, there is. Oh, there is. I thought he was going to back out of it, but no, Colnaghi gets the run on Ernesto Rivera, and Colnaghi gets through in a second position. Rivera has to concede for the moment, and that's great news for Al-Azhari. Another car length of gap has opened up between him and the second place man, Mattia Colnaghi. So Ernesto Rivera now in third position. Let's have a look at it again. Just a nice run all the way down the straight, and he's determined. He's not going to concede that one. Rivera's going to come back at him though, into the left-hand hairpin, and Rivera gives him plenty of hurry up on the way through the hairpin. But you can see that Colnaghi, despite going off the road, is not prepared to back down from this one. And both drivers are still committed to it. In second position, there's just enough room for Colnaghi to hold on to this one from Ernesto Rivera. This is such a close battle, and this is terrific news for Chiano Al-Azhari. The more these two battle over second position, the further away the young man from Dubai gets. And here comes the chance again from Rivera. Diving back in on the inside of Colnaghi. Colnaghi comes back at him, and Rivera's going to go out wide. He loses 3 places there because Lammers comes through, Egozzi goes through, and so too does Thomas Strauben. So that's all gone horribly wrong, I'm afraid, for Ernesto Rivera, who pushed hard there to get through on Mattia Colnaghi, but was not able to finish the job. And as a result of running wide, he's now lost 3 places. Here comes the battle between Lammers and Egozzi, and it's still these two side by side. Egozzi has the run coming into the final turn of the corner. Side by side again, and neither driver backing down. They need to give each other some room. Lammers is pushing Egozzi. Come on, back down, I've got this. No, you haven't, says James Egozzi, and here comes Strauben. He's going to try and take both of them on in the slipstream and storm past them on the far side. Does he have the confidence to turn in round the outside and shut the door? He does! Thomas Strauben, 2 for the price of 1. Brilliant racing. And now we've got Rivera battling away with his teammate Jan Piotrowski. They've had a good little squabble. So still they are battling away. Let's look at this again. This is Rivera on the inside of Colnaghi. And look, Colnaghi just keeps his foot in, despite the fact that he hasn't got a lot of room to play with. He's not going to get pushed around by Rivera. He's not going to be forced off the road. He keeps his foot in. Then he gets the move then. That's where the mistake comes, unfortunately, for Ernesto Rivera. He runs out wide, and that's enough for Colnaghi to get through, along with Strauben, Egozzi, Lammers, and now his teammate, Jan Piotrowski. In fact, there they are battling away. We just saw them tucked up behind the Dutchman, René Lammers, who has now fallen away behind Egozzi. And then the 2 Griffin cars of Piotrowski and Rivera. Lucas Fluscher is in P8. Then Ty, Peebles, Cardenas, Quintarelli, Gladij, De Decker, Pedersen, Businellos and Wisniewski. What's happened to Ivan David? He's fallen all the way back to 18th now. Not sure what happened there, but the Sri Lankan has lost a good 6 or 7 places based on what he made up earlier. Oh, a bit of a drip wide there from the Campos of Nathan Ty, battling away with the MP of Griffin Peebles, but not prepared to be shoved around himself. British driver still keeping himself very much at the sharp end. They drop down the course again, looking for a good run off the turn, back on the power. For the first time this weekend, the Euro Cup 3 and Spanish F4 weekends align, and it won't be the first, or it won't be the last time this year that they've done so. So a lot of rubber going down this weekend. It will make the racing line in particular quite grippy for the drivers. They're now starting to look for an opportunity. It's down the inside. This could be Jan Piotrowski making his bid on... Oh, no, sorry, that's Rivera trying to go right round the outside of René Lammers. Lammers won't let it happen. They're going to drift wide, and here comes Jan Piotrowski to try and counteract it. So Al-Azhari leads it. Colnaghi, Strauben, Egozzi, Lammers, Rivera, and their 2 teammates battling away with each other. But this is how important it is not to give way, because if you give Ernesto Rivera an inch, he's going to take a mile. Now, what happened there? Because Rivera ran wide and Piotrowski was able to get through 3 wide into the braking zone. Lucas Fluscher diving up the inside to try and finish off the move, and 2 cars have gone clean off the racetrack there. That's Fluscher and I think Piotrowski. Rivera is going to now split them. Here comes Griffin Peebles as well. He wants a piece of this. So Peebles is going to try and run right round the outside of Ernesto Rivera. It's not going to happen. No, sorry, that was Jan Piotrowski he was running around the outside of. But again, he has to just tuck in behind as Rivera is now in front of both men. Well, it slowly settles down a bit there. 12 minutes and 7, plus the additional lap, and it's Chiano Al-Azhari for MP Motorsport, leading the way at the moment from Mattia Colnaghi and Thomas Strauben. Then Egozzi, Lammers, Fluscher, Rivera, Piotrowski, Peebles, Ty in the top 10 from Cardenas, Quintarelli, Gladij, De Decker and Pedersen. Still a lot to unfold in these remaining 12 minutes or so. They get an extra lap to slap onto it as well. And Piotrowski versus Rivera. The teammates still going at it. Rivera currently in front of his Polish colleague It's going to be tricky to see who is going to get the better of it. As we watch René Lammers, you can tell that that's his car because the rest of the MP Motorsport team do not have a black and white checkered flag nose cone the way that René Lammers does, keeping the tradition alive for his family to run the Racing Team Nederland colours. It's going to get busy in turn one though. Griffin Peebles tucking up behind the two Griffin cores. Rivera and Piotrowski need to give each other space, but there's no team orders in F4. It really is every driver for themselves. René Lammers, P5. Flusha clear in P6. That's big progress made by the youngster from Mallorca. And there's yellow flags out on the course, and that is why. A problem there for Gustav Wisniewski in the Technicar. So he manages to get himself out of the gravel trap. A complete reversal of the fortunes of anybody who went near the gravel trap at Jarama. They got stuck there and would never return. At least Wisniewski is able to go off the road and recover the car and bring it back onto the road again without too much of a headache, other than dropping to the back of the field, of course. So some big battles out there. It'll be a really exciting situation for all of the contenders. But out in front, Gianni Alazzari holds station. The gap is 1.9 to Colnaghi. The fastest lap of the race, though, has gone the way of the Belgian talent, Thomas Stroven, who is in third place. And of course, he took a race victory in his first weekend of the championship in Jarama. Great recovery this from Lucas Flusha, who's gone from 12th on the grid to P6. So he's actually giving himself a good chance of holding on to the championship lead by just, it could even be as little as 1 point, although Strava has just set the fastest lap of the race. So that is going to keep him in the mix as well. It's very tight indeed. I think that, well, if Flusha, I'm trying to do the math as quickly as possible in my head, whilst also not trying to go irrelevant, but he's P6, that should be enough for 8 points. If Gianni Alazzari scores 25 and doesn't score the fastest lap, then that says to me that they're actually going to be separated by either 1 point or they're going to be level as Ivan David tries to come around the outside. Oh, that's Matteo Quintarelli, my apologies. Dueling away with Nathan Tai and Maciej Gladish. So still great battles just outside the top 10 as well as inside the points. But you've got to be careful how hard you push it, because there could be a couple of drivers tripping off up the road, and if they do so, then you've suddenly got a chance to go for some points. You don't want to run the risk of throwing those away, as Wisniewski has come into the pits to retire as well. He's clearly got too much damage from running off the road at turn 1 in the gravel. But there goes Agozzi, Lammers and Flusha, Piotrowski, Rivera, Peebles, Cardenas, Tai, Quintarelli and Gladish. There is the Orlen branding on Jan Piotrowski's car. Fantastic competitive Jan Piotrowski, actually became the European Junior Karting Champion back in 2022. A real talent and definitely one for the ages, as we've got Lammers under big pressure. Is he going to go right around the outside of Mattia Colnaghi? Is that, oh, actually that's going to be Lammers fending off from Flusha, my apologies. I thought he would got himself towards the top 4, but that is Lucas Flusha for KCLMP. Swarming around all over the back of René Lammers. He never really got much of an opportunity to do this in karting, but now he is taking on the Dutchman. René Lammers swarming his way through on the far side of the course, and now they go round that long ebb and flow final turn. He'll get the slipstream. Lucas Flusha going to put René Lammers under massive pressure as they go down the straight. Here comes Flusha. And watch out for the man behind them as well. Jan Piotrowski, the Polish driver, could get some kind of benefit coming down the straight as well. Tucking in behind them, Flusha going to try and go the long way round. No, you don't, says René Lammers. Do you think I was born yesterday? Come up with a better overtaking move than that, buddy. And so Lammers protects. Flusha tries to get back at it. Look at this train that's forming. Lammers, Flusha, Piotrowski, Rivera, Peebles, and Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian's not far away. What a cluster effect we've got going on from the drivers further back. You've got Gladish, Quintarelli, De Decker, David, Pedersen, Tarnvinichkul and Buzanelos all frighteningly close to each other in their battle for 12th. Though still they work their way around the course, and it looks to me as though Matteo Quintarelli and Mikkel Pedersen might have had an incident. They are dropping down the timesheets as Lammers somehow holds on again in front of Lucas Flusha. So big pressure cooker boiling over for those two, but it looks to me as though Quintarelli and Pedersen have had an incident in the first sector of the lap. So I don't really see them continuing on any further. They've dropped behind Castillo and Block. Here's a replay of Flusha desperately trying to get this move done on Lammers. No chance. And there is still a tough opposition from Piotrowski. The Polish karter turned F4 racer, working very hard indeed on the back. And there is the damage. That is Quintarelli and Pedersen. I thought they'd come together, and they are now off at the top of the hill. That's an awkward place to be as well. And this could end up being a safety car, which indeed it is. With 6 minutes and 20 on the clock, plus the additional lap, we may end up just getting one flying lap of racing at the end of this one again, as we saw at Jarama. And of course, that was when all the drama in the Spanish theatre ended up happening in one quick scene. So the safety car picks up the field. Not a bad effort from Matteo Quintarelli so far, but unfortunately coming to an end in the first race. He's still got 2 more races to make progress in this championship battle, but the first race, good progress in terms of his overtakes, but it just didn't quite work out with him and Pedersen. I'll be fascinated to see how that incident actually unraveled. I wonder if we have got some footage of that back again, but 2 very disgruntled drivers there, and very unhappy, dejected, walking away there. Mikkel Pedersen for the Drivex team. Matteo Quintarelli has already cast himself aside, and Mikkel Pedersen not happy at all. And you can't really blame him when you work so hard, when you put all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together to be on the starting grid, and then you tangle with another competitor. And that's a really weird place to have done so either. Look, that's on the back straight leading up to turn 4. That's a really weird incident. I just wonder if we got just too many cars into too small a space in that battle for 12th, because it shuffled the deck big time. And now we've got Maciej Kladic in 12th. Good recovery from him. Jovan David 13th, Duedeka 14th. Buzanelos ahead of Tom Radickel, Fiorentino, Macedo, Lambert, Hideg, Reba, Dobrzansky, and then Maxi Restrepo ahead of Alex Jacobi. And then Lenny Ritz in front of Juan Cota, Christian Cantu, and Rehan Hakim from Lorenzo Castillo and Leah Block. So all of the drivers finishing off. Gustav Stevsky has been into the pits and gone back out again. So it looks as though they're going to try and get to the race finish, if not in a competitive position, then at least to secure some data, some stats going into tomorrow's races where they can make recovery and where they can continue to develop. Once more, overcast and cloudy, but not contact. So there you go. You can join us on Instagram on the F4 Spanish Championship live after the race. And we'll be working obviously closely with the Euro Cup 3 broadcast. There's going to be some great chatter and some great battles for all of the contenders. You're going to get to see the race action from Euro Cup 3 live on Instagram as well as on YouTube as well. So the safety car leading the field around. We've got 3.5 minutes plus the additional lap left of racing. So by my maths, if they manage to get the clear-up job done relatively quickly between those 2 cars, then we're going to have 2 racing laps. If they don't, then we're only going to have 1. So it all comes down to the efficiency of the marshals and officials here, who I have to say have been, again, absolutely spectacular here this weekend. You've got to remember, folks, that without the marshals waving the flags and controlling the pace of things around the circuit, there is no motorsport. These guys are the unsung heroes and the absolute legends and the fantastic characters of this sport. So without them, we are useless to accord. We would not be able to go racing. Right, there are the cranes. They've arrived on the scene. And, I mean, hopefully, as long as we can get Matteo Quintarelli's car onto that low loader fairly quickly, this may be the lap we go racing again. Although I have a feeling that it's going to be 2 laps behind the safety car, including this one, rather than 1. And that would obviously put us into the territory of having just 1 flying lap at the end of the race. Now there is Duedeka, the BWT colours. So he appears to have come into the pits and rejoined. So that is terribly bad luck for the Belgian. I'm not entirely sure what that means now in terms of his race preparation as well, going into tomorrow, because obviously he's had some kind of malady there, has rejoined the back of the train, but he's only going to have 1 lap really to make up some progress, and he's going to have some fairly fierce competitors just in front of him. He'll have Leah Block, he'll have Lorenzo Castillo, he'll have Rehan Hakim, and if he's managed that, he might just have a bit of time to go for the likes of Christian Cantu or Juan Cota, but he's really going to struggle to keep that kind of pace forward. Now, safety car lights would generally be coming off now, so the fact that they are not tells me that we're going to do 1 more lap behind the safety car. And that is particularly frustrating then for...
Sí, es jueves. ¿Estás ahí?
Because obviously the time will run down to 0 in that process. But when that clock strikes with a minute remaining, there you go. See, it's taken a bit longer than I think anybody would have liked to have seen Matteo Quintarelli's car recovered. As long as they can get that out of the way on this lap, then we will go green, because we're going to run out of time, but you have the half-hour time plus the additional lap at the end of the race. So I think we're just going to have one green flag lap of racing, and we know what happened last time. We had all sorts of problems at the end of the race at Jarama. So that's definitely going to be some urgency then from the drivers. They'll just put Matteo Quintarelli's car on the low loader and put it back into a position of safety. And that's a car stopped out on the circuit at the first corner. So who's that? That's Jabransky, isn't it? Yes, it is. So Victor Jabransky, or the Technicar crew, is actually broken down behind the safety car. And that is critical, because that's at the first couple of corners. And if he's broken down behind safety car, that means he's going to need to be recovered before we can go racing again. So will the lights even go out on the safety car, or will this race now finish behind it? Well, again, bitter frustration, but what are you supposed to do? The drivers can only do what they can do. So it looks to me as though a technical problem has crept in for Gustav Wisniewski. Oh, sorry, for Victor Dobrzansky, I should say. Wisniewski had his own separate problem and is now retired from the race. Dobrzansky, though, having another completely unrelated mechanical problem by the look of it. And those lights are not going to go out. So we were going to go racing again this lap, but Victor Dobrzansky has rather sadly put paid to that with some kind of mechanical difficulty with his car. It's completely not his fault, and he certainly wouldn't have wanted it that way. But if you're Chiano Al-Azari, and particularly if you're his father, Karim Al-Azari, the former president of the Porsche Drivers Club of the United Arab Emirates, the former sports car racer, a very talented one at that, by the way, it will be fabulous for them, because Chiano Al-Azari has got a guaranteed race victory in his pocket now. Time has run down to 0, and the safety car is going to leave them around on this, the final lap here at Portimao. First race of 3 this weekend, and what a way for Chiano Al-Azari's title campaign to continue with a flawless lights to flag victory from the start of this race. He had a lot of pressure in that one as well, from Rivera, from Kalnagi, from Thomas Strauben, but he's held them all off, and he has got himself into a very competitive position once again and just controlled it. That's what Chiano has always been about. Whenever I've talked to him, he said, I've just got to control myself. I've just got to be disciplined. You know, you can be spectacular and come through with a broken car or a flat tire or something. It's not about being spectacular. It's about being smooth. It's about being controlled and disciplined. So it really has been fantastic to watch him grow. Good performances from Matteo Colnaghi and Thomas Strauben in this one as well. But Colnaghi in particular, that's a really positive situation for him, because now he gets to come through for the goods in second place, and hopefully he's not going to have this one taken away from him. So it will be a fascinating performance for all the contenders. The top 10 drivers score points. So it's going to be Chiano Al-Azari who scores 25 of them. What an unfortunate state of affairs that is for Victor Dobrzansky, who will not finish the race and has actually ended up accidentally giving the safety car a little bit more mileage out there on the course. So Chiano Al-Azari will take the victory. Mattia Colnaghi will be second. Thomas Strauben will be third. From James Zigotzi, René Lammers and Lucas Flusha. Then Jan Brzechowski ahead of Ernesto Rivera. And then Griffin Peebles and Andres Cardenas will score the final point, the Peruvian in P10. So while it wasn't the nail-biting climax to the finish line that we were hoping for Chiano Al-Azari, it will be no less a fantastic race victory for the young lad who is based on the Portimao. He had a very steady weekend for the first round of the championship. Chiara Malazzari, a second, a third, and a ninth, and he is going to take his first victory of 2024. The safety car peels in, there's no overtaking, but Chiara Malazzari doesn't care. He wins race one here at Portimao in Portugal. Finally, he takes his first Spanish F4 race victory, and absolutely deservedly so. What a fantastic result for Chiara Malazzari, the man who fought for the F4 UAE Championship title at the beginning of this year. Now he is going to fight for the Spanish F4 title too. What a victory. Mattia Colnaghi second, Thomas Strauben third. Big points for the Belgian. And a great drive from Lucas Flusha behind James Zagotzi and René Lammers, fighting his way from out of the top 10 to come through in P6. A good drive from Jan Piotrowski. He scores decent points ahead of Ernesto Rivera, who will probably be wondering what might have been through the course of a frustrating race. And then ninth place for Griffin Peebles, Formula Winter Series champion. And then Andres Cardenas in 10th position. So many talented drivers just missing out on points in this one. Nathan Ty, P11, Maciej Gladish, P12, Yvan David, P13, Peter Buzinelos, P14, Enzo Tambadnichkul, P15. Some very tough races out there for a lot of the members of the field, to be honest. Some good progress made through the field, though. Enzo Tambadnichkul coming back into 15th place, having been just on the cusp of the top 20. And actually, a bit of a shout out to the Hungarian driver, Adam Hideg, who started a long way down the field and came through for 19th. And I keep saying to people, you know, you're not going to win every race. There are 36 drivers on the grid. There's only been a handful of drivers that will win races. And it's not just about winning. It's how much progress can you make from your qualifying position? How many overtakes are you putting off? How well are you looking after your tyres? Are you taking a couple of decent steals in the final couple of laps of racing? Well, if you can combine all of those things together, you've got a great chance of scoring decent points every time. And Chiara Malazzari now has his first victory of the season. And what a deserving victory it is indeed. Later on this season, we're just waiting for his younger brother Adam to come of age so that he can go racing in F4 this season as well. But what a moment this is for MP Motorsport as they take their first race victory of the season. The KCL by MP squad got 2 wins last time out for Lucas Flusha. Rodin got the 3rd win for Thomas Strauben. But the boys in orange and black are finally victorious in 2024 in Spanish F4 as Chiara Malazzari, the boy from the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai, comes through for a spectacular victory. What a rocket ship here in Portimao. And based on what we've seen from him in the UAE at the beginning of the year, based on what we've seen from him through his karting days, both at home and overseas, this could be the first of many. Well done to Chiara Malazzari. Great performance there from his colleagues. Mattia Colnaghi, one of the first drivers to give him the congratulations. He's obviously in a sea of MP Motorsport mechanics right now, and they deserve to live this up. They've worked hard. They may have had it all their own way in Eurocup 3 so far this year, but in Spanish F4, the win was conspicuous by its absence. Not anymore. Chiara Malazzari has got it. Enzo Oliveira is down there to get a word with our newest race winner in Spanish F4.
Congratulations, now first victory in F4 Spanish Championship, first pole position, you keep the place, you keep the first place, so it's important for you in your history now in this competition.
Oh yeah, I mean, what an incredible day, you know. First pole in the championship and first win, couldn't ask for more, yeah. The car was as expected, really good, and managed to hold my ground. Good starts, good restarts, and job done.
How was feeling, you know, this Unipnes circuit, no, with many ups and downs? It's classic, it's legendary, this circuit of Portimao, so you need to manage, you know, the balance of the car in the corners, so it's really specific, you know, try to have the best performance in this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first race I've ever done here, so I wasn't really sure what to expect with tire condition through the race and everything, but I think we managed it really well, and unfortunately I didn't get to experience any racing yet, but I think that's also a good thing. And yeah, hopefully we can do more of that tomorrow.
To end the interview, the target, you know, your objective in this weekend? It's only one.
To win, yeah.
Win, win, and win.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, a fantastic result then for Keanu Al-Azadi. P1, having got his first pole, he now has his first win. Vinyar now says on YouTube, Keanu is a beast. What a beauty from the beast here today at Portimao. An absolutely terrific run all the way through from the start. Some great racing and some great performances there when the race was actually under green flag conditions. It was great to see some epic performances, some stand-up attention race battles all the way through, and an excellent performance. Keanu Al-Azadi taking the victory. Sadly, we cannot stick around for the podium because we've got Euro Cup 3 right on the warpath. But stick around, there's more great race action from F4 Spain tomorrow with races 2 and 3. The headline here from Enzo Oliveira and Jake Sanson, we bow out by telling you that Keanu Al-Azadi is the newest F4 Spanish Championship race winner, and he could get a couple more in the tank tomorrow.